It is now my great pleasure to invite Professor George Magoha, who is the Cabinet Secretary for Education and he served as the Vice Chancellor of this university. Welcome, Professor Magoha. God is good, and all the time. My very good friend and benefactor, Chancellor Dr. Vijay Ratansi, who is a renowned philanthropist. She's a renowned academic philanthropist, and I think that must have had something to do with her being appointed here at the university. Dr. Julia Ojambo, who has a double role. She was married to a physician like me, but you know her other life also. Isaac Awondo and the members of the Alumni Association. I'm glad to say that you are present in the council that used to run the university when I was there, and I benefited tremendously from your industrial link. My good friend, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Nairobi, Professor Kia Magitahi, the University of Nairobi Council, most of whom, especially those who are in the pension scheme, I know them quite well. University of Nairobi community, graduates and your families, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I want to speak candidly and start from a point which was mentioned by Dr. Julia Ojambo, and then I will expand to the other universities. It is of course true that University of Nairobi is the gold standard. That is not an aspiration. The University of Nairobi is the gold standard. So, when a Vice Chancellor, your problem is to maintain it there. And for that reason, Madam Chancellor, I would want to state without any fear of contradiction that we have to ask ourselves what makes the University of Nairobi the gold standard in East Africa? What makes the university the gold standard? And I think the answer is known to all of you. It is the faculty. The faculty in the first place has to be excellent. So whoever is running the university, and now it is Professor Stephen Kia Magitahi, you must fall in love yesterday with your academic staff. Otherwise, there is nothing you are going to do that will go anywhere. You are a professor, I'm a professor, and you know how they think. Are we together here? Yes. So if you have issues, discuss them in the back room, alone with them. You speak the same language. There are rules which are made by man. Those rules can be changed if your strategy is to ensure that University of Nairobi has to be the gold standard in East Africa. It didn't happen automatically, and I thank you for recognizing that. I did maybe 5% earlier. But I want to say this. It was about 10 years ago now, when in a ceremony like this, and Dr. Awondo will remember, that I promised the then Chancellor, Dr. Joseph Baraga Wanjuri, because now we were working in tandem. Originally, I was a man of letters, I was a man of business, and we were not understanding each other. But when we started working together, having known the importance of the industry in running of a university, I promised him, because Makerere was a nuisance to us, complete nuisance. And we said, no, we must beat Makerere. We started from that trajectory. And Makerere used to be about number 14, 15 there. But the following year, I told him, before I retire as Vice Chancellor, the University of Nairobi must be among the first 10. among the 1,500 universities in Africa. And it required the work of every academic staff member and every non-academic staff member working in tandem. And the secret to that success was that everybody's opinion was important, including the ones who will tell you you can go to hell. Even that one is important. You don't discountenance, because you know as well that I had a principal in my management at the top who always told me to go to hell. It did not stop us from going where we are going. So my advice to you as a friend and a leader, it is not a faint-hearted person that can run the university at this time. There are many advisors who will come to you with conceited ideas. You have to know how to filter them, because before you advise somebody, you must have the knowledge to advise. If you don't know, how then do you advise? If you don't know and you have not been there. That's what I learned. 90% of my advisors were advising for their stomachs. But our fidelity to this university requires that you first of all identify and safeguard. And I'll use the idea. I hope she doesn't get offended. Professor Patricia Kameni, who, for whatever reason, we had discordance, and she went to Strathmore College. She went to Strathmore University. Can somebody guess how many years it took me to personally persuade her to come back? Because I was basically running the law school myself as the vice chancellor, because the law school was difficult, and if there are lawyers here, they can remember that. So after so many lunches and a lot of jilting, eventually Professor decided to come back. Now, Professor Kiama, if you go to the law school, you will find that at that time there were maybe PhDs which are not even 5. Now I think they must be over 40. That's what you must do. I don't have to like you. You don't have to like anybody. You measure them with what they can give you. And my second point, which you don't have to take, is this. Personally, it took me 22 years of teaching to become a professor. And if I add another 20 now, you can guess my age, but if I'm giving a class on cancer of the prostate, for example, I use 14 publications which I have given as an example to the students who are new. So you can never compare me with the neophytes, even if they are computer experts. This is what you must understand. And to buttress this point, and I hope, Madam Chancellor, you are listening, because you are the head of the university. His Excellency the President took me for a training in Harvard University as soon as I became a minister. And then I found we were 40 ministers from Africa, Caribbean, and Asia. Ministers of Education and Health. The most hardworking professor, we used to start at 6 o'clock and come back at 8:30 at night. So we had breakfast there, lunch and dinner there. And you come back with homework which you hand over in the morning. The reason I'm using this example, if you like, you can take it. If you don't like, with all due humility, you'll be shooting yourself in the foot. Was somebody who was 87 years. He was a top grade advisor to Tony Blair. And I remember the guy used to give us homework at 8:30 when we were going. We bring the homework in the morning. We are 40. He will write 2-3 pages on each of them. And he will give you the answers. In this university, there are professors like that. If you look around, you will see them. They are not young. Some of them, people will tell you, no, so. This one now has reached 72. He's not helpful. If you care to check, Madam Chancellor, you will find that that professor is doing 3 or 4 times the work of the younger one. So for the university to remain a gold standard, look for oil and oil all these professors. Otherwise they will fly. And since you only have 10 years to be VC, you have no time to produce others. Are we together here? But you don't have to take my advice, except that, why do I qualify to advise you in public? I visited over 250 universities everywhere in the world. And I can tell you that when Joe Wajui had also forced me more or less to go to Stanford, some of my teachers were over 87 years. So I think a professor should be judged by the output of his work, not just research work. We don't have trainers. That's what I have in the country now. We don't have trainers. Don't allow the trainers to go away. Who is going to train the new stars that you are looking for? You tell me. And since we are the gold standard, we already have them. So what we might do is to tell them to go. Others are looking for them. And we'll take them with a good bosom. This is a challenge to the council chair, chancellor, and vice chancellor, and also the university community. In the Senate, Professor Kema, you used to be there when I was there. Was I ever arrogant there, inside the Senate? I couldn't afford to be arrogant inside the Senate, because I needed to carry the professors and the senators with me. Yes. So, having said so, as I address the other universities now, University of Nairobi is the gold standard, but for the other universities to look like the University of Nairobi, they must have certain criteria that are fixed, that are transformative, because you now have professors in certain universities, Professor Kiama. When you challenge them in their area of interest, they have nothing to say. So we are running the risk of professors, people saying they are professors of something, and now you can actually gauge. Chair of Council, there are professors who may have printed 100 papers, and none of them has been quoted by anybody. So those are not professors. But we have professors. We have them. Review them. The ones who are already old and stale, who cannot use their brain, allow them to go. The productive ones, age is just but a number. Because me, I'm running like a turbocharged machine. When I am relieved of my job, my first call is going to be here. If you don't want me, just open your eyes and watch. It is true, because you are not going to shut me down. I still have another 10 years. Are you going to say, oh, I should go and start looking after the cows in Kisumu? So that is with a tongue in the cheek, but it is from a family that is telling you the truth. So, dear, otherwise I want to agree with you that you are on the right trajectory. You will attract excellent students because of the faculty. If you look at the School of Medicine, most of the students you get from the private sector refuse to go where the government is going to pay fees for them. They want to do medicine, and they want to do medicine in your School of Medicine, and they pay for it. You need that money very badly, more than I needed it at that time. So as your advisors, crack this whip and don't be afraid to right size. The only thing is, don't start with the chicken. Because once you have killed the chicken, the eggs will be eaten and there's nothing else. You don't have other chicken. And I'm not targeting the non-academic stuff, but you can right size. You can right size and carry everybody with you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very glad indeed to accept that to have been invited here today, and I take it as a great honor because I have given 32 years of my life, I think the prime part of my life, to this university, and I've always been an ambassador of the university. You can see this even now I'm going to meet His Excellency the President in a short while. I'm not wearing the national, I'm wearing this as an ambassador. He keeps asking, what is that? I said, this is the University of Nairobi. But you're not there now, you're here. But I'm very proud to be associated with this university. And it's just a slight pity that you are number 3, but I understand. Because the colleges graduating now are science-based, and we shut you down. So Professor Girangu Kioni was ahead of you kidogo, and the so-called Egerton University. But still, you are there. I want us to give a moment's silence to the 5 staff that I remember, including the son of our own Jumba. Can we be upstanding in remembrance of those 5 and everybody else that we have lost due to COVID? And may God, in His grace and mercy, grant their souls perfect peace. Thank you very much. I strongly believe that you ask, why am I talking with my mask? Maybe you as a vet, you know. When you remove your mask, and I would advise you to talk through your mask. Because if we agree that this virus is in the air, and I've seen some very careless ones like that one. Very extremely careless. She's going to infect this other one. I talk through my mask because the air around me may not be as good as I want it to be, and you know what would happen. So let it not be a fashion that you remove your mask. Wait for us to tell you. I have also noticed, Vice Chancellor, that you have made your own masks, which is congratulations to you. I will want you to supply me with some which I will pay for. It's not corruption. I think the second point I want to say is that we are going now into the new normal. The new normal in that using this mode of activity is here to stay. So I would want the Council to invest a little bit more on the ICT facilities. You have a very huge ICT center, which is well staffed. You can invest more there. But one other point I want to make, while I encourage you to go virtual and in almost all the things that you are doing, it doesn't mean that the old systems are not good. They shall always remain good. I look at myself as a transplant surgeon, and even though we now do keyhole operations through holes, but you can't take a whole kidney back into the body through a hole if you want it to make urine. You still have to cut open and place the kidney where you want to place it. So this condemnation of old systems, 100%, is also in place. History is good. Let us know what used to happen. And depending on your specialty, you may find that you can have a good mixture and you have a hybrid system that will work for us. In terms of specialization, Madam Chancellor, this is perhaps the only university that is blessed with excellent faculty. I remember, if I may be tribalistic, Professor Omwanzala and the AIDS vaccine and the University of Cambridge. That's almost 20 years ago. Now we are going into the COVID era. You still have the likes of Anzala. I don't think he has reached retirement age, but make sure you tie a rope on his leg so that he's not snatched from you. And there are many others like that. There's this notion that once you reach the retirement age, The retirement age was set by human beings. In fact, it was set by you people. I remember there's a professor that we held a review for. I don't know if it was philosophy or, but I don't want to mention his name. And it was obvious he was not with it. So perhaps you can keep a system where if somebody has reached retirement age and you don't think he's productive enough, then you set a panel to review him. But perhaps the most important thing, Professor, is to ensure that the young ones are working. And there I support you. You must be paid for work done. Are we together here? Because you may find that you are killing the chickens, but the smaller chickens, instead of working, hakuna kitu. Is Dr. Misati Nyandemo still in the university? Misati Nyandemo was the Secretary General of WASU. And we had many battles with him in the back room, not in the front. Where he was telling me, no, his staff are overworked. So I told him, okay, fine. You as Nyandemo, how many hours have you worked this week? Let us go slowly, but by that time I already know. So I say, no, if we agree, these are the terms of service, and you provide your service according to the laws of the University of Kenya, then Bwanavisi, you really have to be firm, but I advise that you start with the back room again so that you avoid a rebellion from the people who should support you. And I'm also asking the faculty to support the Vice Chancellor because, he's the Vice Chancellor now, there's no other one. And if you don't want to support him, why don't you go to another university? Isn't it? As you prepare for the return to normalcy, Vice Chancellor, remember that His Excellency the President, who has just 2 years to go, has to deliver the Big Four agenda and move towards Vision 2030. And that you, as Stephen Gitahi Kiama, you have a role to play in terms of delivery, together with the Chancellor and the Council and the Chair of Council. The University of Healthcare, you are the producer of the doctors. So look at the College of Health Sciences with a little bit more attention. And I hope that the college, through the principal, I don't know whether he's here, should ensure that there is industrial peace there. We usually produce between 300 and 400 doctors. The president wants those doctors yesterday. So if there are issues, and I want to start these two ladies, they are the only two ladies who work together very closely. Most of the time we have two ladies, they fight. This one works together very closely. So, to return to the normal, the difficult journey ahead will require the understanding and cooperation of everyone. I would like all the university stakeholders to engage the Vice Chancellor, not in the newspapers, but preferably in the back room. And when you come out, the university must have positive. Let us have some, for the first time in a long while, let us have continuous positive media with us, isn't it? As I conclude my remarks, I would like to congratulate the university as it marks its 50 years of existence this year. The university has established itself as an academic giant in the region. But, Madam Chancellor, giant in the region. The region is not good enough. Let us now go and play in the international league. And in Kenya today, this is the only university that is poised to get into that level. And therefore, wish you the wisdom of Solomon. Don't compare yourselves with the Makeres of this world now. Compare yourselves with Cape Town right now and start looking at, are we going to be the first in Africa before you leave? Shall we be the first two? If that's a good target, because you put a target and then you work towards the target. And then smell around and see how people do. Finally, Dr. Awundo, the Alumni Association. I listen to you, my friend. I listen to you very keenly. Your strategy has to change. At Stanford, there was 100 billion, about $100 billion endowment fund. Kenyans are now rich, including my good friend, Isaac, including my most humble self. Why have we not created a serious endowment fund for the University of Nairobi alumni? Why? It is something that you put on the table, because most of our rich people are dying and leaving the money for the family to fight off. So even giving 5 to 10% of what you have to the alumni and dictating how it is spent. Right now we would be saying we have 500 million endowment fund. It can cater for all the children, and if the VC is in ICU, we can also give him just some breathing oxygen. So that is the challenge I'm giving to Isaac, and I think if he takes it out, we are up and about to support it. And being wealthy doesn't mean you have a lot of money. It's the ability and willingness to give. That's it. So if I'm still minister next year, let us see where we shall have reached. Yeah, starting even, and you know, you have a philosophy here. I don't know why she doesn't want. Maybe you look like it's a conflict of interest, but it can be driven. Let us remember you by driving that, so that at least by the time you are leaving, why can't we have $1 billion? No, the story is still the same. As you know, I'm the one who started this. Let's break that to the knee, and you will find there are a few people who might say, well, I went to the University of Nairobi, I'm putting here 50 million. All I want is to ensure that I wonder will tell you what a trust is. You only use what comes as a profit. The principle remains there. So if it is on, then he did not say so. Otherwise, to the graduates and the parents, I want to wish you all the very best. I hope you have been unskilled to be able to go out there. Don't go out there to look for jobs. Go out there to create jobs. Our brains can work beyond what we give them. So if your target is to look for a job, you have already shut down your brain. If you are, we went to a Juakali shed with His Excellency the President the other day, and the man who was in the Juakali sector was a master's graduate. I think you saw him on television. And he was able to think outside. In fact, he destroyed the box. So that's what I'm asking the students to do. I wish you all the very best, and we continue to work together. And I would want to ask for permission, Madam Chancellor, and yeah, but if you allow me, I want to run to where, if I don't go on time, I will not enter. Thank you.